Eli Carter remembered the exact moment his life changed. It was a Tuesday. Not a dramatic Friday night or a movie-worthy sunset. Just a boring Tuesday in October, when he sat on the cold bathroom floor of his small Chicago apartment and stared at 2 pink lines on a pregnancy test. His hands were shaking. He and Marcus had been together for 2 years. 2 beautiful, messy, loud, wonderful years. Marcus Webb was the kind of man who made every room feel warmer just by walking in. He was funny without trying, kind without thinking about it, and when he smiled at Eli, Eli forgot his own name. They had used a surrogate arrangement, both of them biological contributors, both of them equally terrified and equally excited when they first started talking about building a family. But then the surrogate had a medical emergency and withdrew from the plan. After careful conversation with doctors and a rare medical situation Eli had been born with that made it biologically possible for him to carry a child, they made the decision together. Eli would carry their son. It had felt like magic. Now, Eli sat on that bathroom floor alone because Marcus had not come home last night. Or the night before. He called, no answer. He texted, nothing. He called Marcus's sister, Dana. She picked up on the second ring, and the silence before she spoke told Eli everything. "He's at the airport, Eli," Dana said quietly. "He took a job in London, a big hospital position. He didn't tell you." Eli said nothing. He just held the pregnancy test in one hand and the phone in the other, and he breathed. "Eli, I'm so sorry. I told him he was being a coward. I told him." "It's okay," Eli said. His voice was calm, terrifyingly calm. "Thank you, Dana." He hung up. He sat there for a long time. Then he stood up, washed his face, looked in the mirror, and said out loud to himself, "You are going to be fine." He did not believe it, but he said it anyway. The next morning, Eli called his mom in Ohio. She cried. Then she got angry. Then she booked a flight to Chicago. His best friend Jordan showed up at his door that same evening with 3 bags of groceries, 2 boxes of tissues, and absolutely 0 questions. Jordan just walked in, started cooking pasta, and said, "Tell me when you're ready." That was the moment Eli actually cried. He sobbed at the kitchen table while Jordan stirred sauce and asked nothing. And when the crying stopped, Jordan set a bowl in front of him and said, "Okay, now eat, you're feeding 2 people." Eli laughed through his tears. It was a small laugh, but it was real. In London, Marcus Webb stepped off the plane and told himself he had done the right thing. The hospital offer was real. The career opportunity was real. He was not running away. He was moving forward. That is what he told himself. He did not tell himself that he had panicked, that the moment things became real, the baby, the commitment, the weight of it all, something inside him had snapped, and he had run like a frightened kid. He did not say that part out loud, not even to himself. He checked into his hotel, unpacked his suitcase, and stared at the ceiling for 3 hours. He had left 17 unread texts from Eli. He had not opened a single one. He told himself he would call tomorrow. Tomorrow came, he did not call. The days turned into weeks. The weeks became a wall he could not climb over. He told himself Eli was better off. He told himself it was cleaner this way. He told himself a lot of things that sounded almost true if he said them fast enough. Back in Chicago, Eli had his first ultrasound on a gray November morning. His mom held his hand. Jordan took pictures on his phone and cried more than Eli did. The doctor said, "Strong heartbeat, healthy boy." Eli looked at the small shape on the screen, and something locked into place inside his chest. A quiet kind of strength, the kind that does not need an audience. He named the baby Noah before he was even born. He deleted Marcus's number from his phone that night, not with anger, with something quieter, with the calm of someone who had decided to stop waiting. He did not know, could not know, that 5,000 miles away, Marcus Webb was sitting on a hospital break room floor at 2 in the morning, staring at a photo of Eli he had not been able to delete, feeling the full weight of every terrible choice he had ever made. He did not know that yet, but his story was not over. It was just beginning. Eli was 7 months pregnant when he finally stopped flinching every time his phone buzzed. That felt like progress. He had moved his life around completely in the months since Marcus left. His mom, Carol, had stayed for 6 weeks, longer than she had planned. She reorganized his kitchen, repainted the baby's room a soft sage green, and made him eat breakfast every single morning, even when he was not hungry. She did not talk about Marcus unless Eli brought it up first, and Eli almost never did. Jordan, on the other hand, talked about everything. That was what Eli loved about him. Jordan could fill a silence so completely that sometimes Eli forgot to be sad. Jordan had also started a group chat called Baby Noah Protection Squad, which included Eli's mom, Eli's co-worker Priya, their upstairs neighbor Mr. Owens, who was 72 years old and apparently very enthusiastic about babies, and 3 other people Eli had not even realized cared about him this much. It was overwhelming in the best possible way. Eli worked at a graphic design firm downtown. His boss, a sharp woman named Sandra, had quietly rearranged his schedule to give him lighter hours without ever making a big deal about it. When Eli had tried to thank her, Sandra had just looked at him over her glasses and said, "You're one of my best people, Carter. I protect my best people." Then she had gone back to her computer, and that was the end of it. His life was full. It was smaller than it used to be, and slower, and sometimes very quiet in ways that hurt, but it was full. He had stopped checking Marcus's social media in December. He did not know what he expected to find. Maybe some sign that Marcus was suffering, that he regretted it, that the guilt had broken something in him. But one evening, Eli had opened Instagram and seen a photo of Marcus at a hospital charity gala in London, laughing with colleagues, and something had gone cold inside Eli's chest. He closed the app, he logged out, he deleted it from his phone. That same night, he lay in bed with one hand on his round belly and felt Noah kick, strong, certain kicks that landed like little announcements, and Eli had laughed softly in the dark. "Yeah," he whispered, "I know. We don't need him." Noah kicked again. Okay. Go to sleep." But there was something Eli did not tell Jordan or his mom or anyone in the Baby Noah Protection Squad, something he kept only for himself, in the quiet dark of 3 in the morning when he couldn't sleep. He missed Marcus. Not the man who had left, not the coward at the airport. He missed the Marcus he had known before, the one who brought him coffee without asking, who sang badly in the shower and was completely unashamed about it, who had once spent an entire afternoon building a bookshelf with Eli, only for them to realize at the end that it was upside down and they had laughed until they couldn't breathe. He missed that Marcus, the one he had loved completely, and missing him hurt in a way that had no good words. But grief is a strange thing. It does not cancel out strength. Eli had both, living inside him at the same time, and he was learning how to carry them together. Meanwhile, in London, Marcus was miserable. This was not dramatic or poetic. It was plain and flat and boring. He was miserable the way people get when they have made a terrible mistake and cannot stop knowing it. He worked long hours because the hospital needed him, and also because working was easier than being still. He had told his colleagues he was single. He had told himself the lie often enough that some days he almost believed it. But then Dana called. "Eli's doing well," she said without any preamble. "He's strong. He doesn't need you. I just wanted you to know that." Marcus went very quiet. "Dana, I'm not calling to fight with you," she said. "I'm calling because you're my brother and I love you. And because whatever you're telling yourself over there in London, I want you to know that you broke something real. And you need to sit with that." She hung up. Marcus put his phone down on the break room table and stared at the wall for a long time. He did not sleep that night. 2 weeks later, he put in a transfer request back to the United States. He told himself it was for career reasons, a better position, a larger hospital network. He was almost convincing. He requested a placement in Chicago. He did not let himself think too hard about why. The call came on a Wednesday. Eli was at his desk, editing a logo for a client, when his phone rang with a number he didn't recognize. He almost ignored it. These days he was careful about unknown numbers. Too many well-meaning people calling to check in. Too many moments that required energy he was saving for Noah. But something made him pick up. "Mr. Carter, this is Dr. Reyes from Lakeview Medical Center. We have you registered for your 3rd trimester check-in tomorrow, but I wanted to confirm that you have received our staffing update." Eli frowned. What update? There was a small pause. We have a new attending physician joining the obstetrics team. He will be overseeing your delivery care going forward. His name is Dr. Marcus Webb. The logo on Eli's screen blurred. Mr. Carter? Are you still there? Yes, Eli said. His voice came out completely even. He was impressed with himself. I'm here. Is that arrangement acceptable to you, or would you prefer we assign a different doctor? Eli thought about saying yes. He thought about saying no. He thought about all the words that existed between those two answers. I'll come in tomorrow, he said. We'll figure it out then. He hung up. He sat very still for about 45 seconds. Then he called Jordan. He's back, Eli said. Jordan, who had been in the middle of eating lunch, made a sound that was somewhere between a gasp and a choke. What? Where? How? He's at my hospital. He's going to be my delivery doctor. Silence. Then Jordan said, with the dead seriousness of a man who loved his best friend more than anything, Eli, this is either the universe's worst joke or the beginning of a very dramatic romance novel. Jordan, I'm just saying what everyone is thinking. Eli pressed his fingers to his temple. I need to figure out what to do. What you need to do, Jordan said, is walk into that hospital tomorrow like the absolute legend you are. Look that man directly in the face and let him see what he gave up. Eli almost smiled. Almost. That's your advice? That's my best advice. You want my second best? I could key his car. Jordan, I'm kidding. Mostly. Eli did not sleep well that night. Noah seemed unsettled too, kicking at odd hours, shifting and squirming. Eli lay with both hands on his belly and stared at the ceiling and thought about Marcus Webb. He had not seen his face in 8 months. The next morning, Eli dressed carefully. He wore the dark green sweater his mom had sent him, the one that fit well despite everything, and he stood in front of his mirror for an extra moment. He looked tired. He looked strong. He looked like someone who had built a whole life in the space where a broken heart used to be. Good enough. At the hospital, he checked in at the desk and was shown to a consultation room. He sat in the chair beside the window and looked out at the gray Chicago sky and waited. The door opened. Marcus walked in. He looked exactly the same. That was Eli's first thought. Completely irrational, because of course 8 months had passed, but Marcus looked the same. A little thinner, maybe. Something around his eyes that was different, tired in a way that went deeper than sleep. He wore a white coat and had a folder in his hand, and when he saw Eli, he stopped completely. The folder almost fell. He caught it. For 3 full seconds, neither of them said anything. Then Marcus said, Eli. Just that. Just his name, like it was the only word he had. Eli looked at him. He kept his face calm. He had practiced this in the mirror at 2 in the morning, more times than he would ever admit. Dr. Webb, Eli said. Something moved through Marcus's expression. Regret, maybe. Or pain, or both layered together. I didn't know you were a patient here, Marcus said. I want you to know that. They didn't tell me until this morning. If you want a different doctor, I completely understand. I will arrange that right now. Eli studied him for a moment. Then he said, Sit down, Marcus. Marcus sat. Here is what is going to happen, Eli said. His voice was quiet and steady. You are going to give me the best medical care possible. You are going to be professional, and you are going to keep whatever feelings you have on your side of the room. Marcus nodded. His jaw was tight. Of course. And, Eli added, you are not going to make this about you. That landed. Eli saw it land. Understood, Marcus said. But his hands, resting on the folder in his lap, were not steady at all. The appointments became a routine. Every week, Eli came in. Every week, Marcus was professional, exactly as Eli had asked. He checked vitals. He reviewed tests. He explained everything clearly and calmly, and kept his eyes clinical and his voice even. But Eli noticed things. The way Marcus always had a cup of water ready on the table before Eli arrived, the way he had memorized every allergy, every preference, every small detail from Eli's file, not because the notes weren't in front of him, but because he had clearly read them so many times, he no longer needed to look. The way he paused an extra beat after every scan, staring at the image of Noah on the screen with an expression he was clearly trying very hard to hide. He was trying. Eli was not sure what to do with that. Jordan naturally had opinions. "He's guilty," Jordan said, sitting on Eli's couch one evening with a bowl of popcorn. Head to toe, completely eaten alive by guilt. "Good." "That's mean," Eli said. "It's accurate," Jordan said. "There's a difference." Eli threw a pillow at him. But that night, alone in bed, Eli let himself think about it honestly. Because Eli had always been the kind of person who needed to look at the true shape of things, even when the shape was uncomfortable. Marcus had left. That was real. It had hurt in a way that did not have good language, a hurt that had lived in his chest for months, and sometimes still showed up uninvited. That was also real. But Marcus was here now. He had requested a transfer to Chicago. He had not said anything dramatic. He had not tried to explain himself or beg or make grand gestures. He had just shown up and done his job and been, quietly, very clearly trying. Eli did not know what to do with someone who was trying. It was easier when people were just bad. The conversation happened on a Thursday. Eli had come in for a routine check, and Marcus was finishing up the appointment notes when Eli said, without planning to, "Why did you come back?" Marcus stopped writing. He set the pen down. He looked at Eli directly, really looked at him, for the first time since they had been in the same room together. "Because I was wrong," Marcus said. "That's not an answer," Eli said. Marcus was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "I panicked. When it became real, all of it, the baby, the permanence, all of it, I panicked. And instead of talking to you, I ran. And I have not had one good day since." Eli looked at him. "I'm not telling you that to ask for anything," Marcus said. You asked me a direct question, and you deserve a direct answer." Eli was quiet. "I know what I did," Marcus said. "I know there is no version of this where what I did was okay. I'm not here to argue that it was. I'm just here because—" He stopped, took a breath. "Because you're here, and Noah is here, and being 5,000 miles away was killing me." Eli stood up slowly, gathering his jacket. "I appreciate your honesty," he said. He walked to the door. Then he stopped, with his hand on the frame, and said without turning around, "He kicks every night at 10 o'clock, like clockwork." He left. Marcus sat alone in the quiet room for a long time. He was smiling, just a little, and his eyes were wet. It started with a phone call at 2:47 in the morning. Eli had been asleep, finally, deeply asleep, the kind of sleep that third trimester bodies demand, when the pain woke him first, sharp and low and very, very real. He sat up, he breathed, he counted. Then he called Jordan. Jordan answered on the first ring despite the hour, which told Eli everything about what kind of friend Jordan was. "It's time," Eli said. He heard the sound of Jordan falling out of bed. "I'm coming, don't move. I'm coming right now." Eli called his mom next. She had flown back to Chicago a week ago, just in case, and she answered immediately and said, "I'll meet you there," and that was it. Jordan arrived in 11 minutes, which Eli was fairly sure violated multiple traffic laws. At the hospital, everything moved fast. Nurses, monitors, forms, voices. Eli held Jordan's hand in the hallway while his mom talked to the intake nurse, and he focused on breathing, just breathing, one breath and then another. And then the door at the end of the hallway opened, and Marcus came through it. He was in scrubs, his hair was messed up. He had clearly been called in fast. He looked at Eli, and for one unguarded second, his whole face showed everything: fear, love, desperation, hope, before he put his doctor face back on and walked toward them. "I'm here," he said, to Eli, quietly. "I've got you." Jordan looked at Eli. Eli looked at Marcus. "Okay," Eli said. The next several hours were hard. That is the honest truth. They were exhausting and painful and long, and there were moments when Eli's grip on Jordan's hand was tight enough to hurt, and moments when the room felt very loud, and moments when Eli closed his eyes and just breathed and tried to stay in his own body. Through all of it, Marcus was steady. He talked to Eli in a low, calm voice. He explained every step before it happened. When something concerned him, And once, something did, a drop in a reading that made the nurses exchange a look. Marcus handled it so quickly and so competently that by the time Eli fully registered the alarm, it was already over. "You're doing so well," Marcus said, and it was not the thing doctors say automatically. It was the thing a person says when they mean it completely. At 7:14 in the morning, Noah Carter was born. He cried immediately, loud and furious and absolutely perfect. The nurse placed him on Eli's chest, and Eli went very still. The pain was still there, a distant thing, but it was far away now. All that existed was this small face, this red and crumpled and impossibly beautiful face. "Hi," Eli whispered. "Hi, baby. Hi, Noah." Noah made a sound. Not words, obviously, just a small, indignant sound, but it felt like a response. Eli laughed, a wet, broken, beautiful laugh. Across the room, Marcus had turned away. He was standing at the window, his back to everyone, and his shoulders were shaking. Nobody pointed it out. Jordan very deliberately looked at the ceiling. Carol, Eli's mom, quietly put her hand on Marcus's arm for just a moment. She did not say anything. She just stood there briefly and then moved back to Eli's side. Marcus wiped his face with the back of his hand. He turned around. He was composed again, professionally, medically composed, but his eyes were red. "Everything looks great," he said. "He's healthy, strong, perfect." He met Eli's eyes. Eli looked at him over the top of Noah's head, this small, warm weight on his chest, and something shifted between them. Something quiet and enormous at the same time. "Thank you," Eli said. Those two words held more than their usual weight. They both knew it. Marcus nodded. He pressed his lips together. He turned and walked out before his composure could slip again. In the hallway, he leaned against the wall and covered his face with both hands. He had just watched his son be born. He had been in the room. He had helped bring this person into the world, and he had absolutely no right to any of it. That knowledge and the joy and the grief all hit him at the same time, tangled together, and he stood in that hallway for a long time while nurses walked past and the hospital hummed around him, and he fell completely apart in the quietest possible way. 3 days later, Eli was still in the hospital. Noah was healthy, but Eli's own recovery needed monitoring, and so they stayed, the two of them in a private room with a window that got good afternoon light, which Eli decided was a blessing. Jordan visited every day and brought food that was almost certainly against hospital policy, and was completely unrepentant about it. Carol had gone to Eli's apartment to clean and prepare it for the homecoming, calling every few hours to ask questions like, "Where do you keep your good towels?" and "Should I rearrange the baby's room?" To which Eli said yes to everything, because his mom rearranging things was her love language, and he understood that now. Marcus came by each morning on rounds. He was professional. He was kind. He always had a quiet word for Eli, a clear update on how they were both doing, and he always paused at the small clear bassinet where Noah slept, and he looked at Noah in a way that made Eli's chest do complicated things. On the third afternoon, Eli said, "Close the door." Marcus turned from the bassinet. He studied Eli's face, then closed the door. He sat in the chair beside the bed, which was not the clinical chair across the room. He sat close. Eli noticed. "I need you to say the things you haven't said," Eli told him. Marcus folded his hands, unfolded them. "Eli, I'm not angry right now," Eli said. "I have been angry. I have been so angry at you that I couldn't think straight. But right now I'm tired and I have a 3-day-old son and I don't have the energy for games. So just say it." Marcus looked at his hands. "I love you," he said. "I never stopped, not for one day." Eli said nothing. He waited. "I was terrified," Marcus said. "I know that's not an excuse. I know saying I was scared doesn't fix anything. But I was 29 years old and suddenly everything was real. The baby, the commitment, the idea that I could fail you, that I could fail him, and my brain just shut down. I made the worst possible choice. I ran." He looked up, and I have hated myself for it every single day. Coming back wasn't about making it okay. Nothing makes it okay. I came back because you are the person I love, and Noah is my son, and I would rather be near you and get nothing than be far away and pretend I'm fine. Eli was quiet for a long moment. "You hurt me," he said. "You hurt me in a way I won't forget. I know. I had to learn how to be okay without you. I had to build that from scratch. I know." "And I did," Eli said. His voice was steady. "I'm okay. I don't need you to be okay." Marcus nodded. His expression did not collapse, but it came close. "But," Eli said. Marcus looked up. "But there's a difference between not needing someone and not wanting them." Eli exhaled. "I have been very angry at you. I have also missed you every single day. Both things are true. I'm tired of pretending only one of them is." Marcus did not move, like he was afraid to. Like sudden movement might break something. "I am not forgiving you today," Eli said. "Forgiveness takes time, and I need to see who you are now, not who you were. But I am telling you that I'm willing to find out." "That's more than I deserve," Marcus said. "Probably," Eli agreed. "But Noah deserves a father, and I deserve to stop carrying this alone. So, Noah chose that exact moment to make a small squirmy noise from the bassinet. Both of them looked at him. Marcus stood slowly and looked at Eli, a question without words. Eli nodded. Marcus walked to the bassinet and looked down at Noah, really looked, for the first time without a doctor's measured distance. His face completely opened up, every wall down. "Hi," Marcus whispered. "Hi, Noah." His voice cracked on the name. Noah blinked up at him with the unfocused gaze of a newborn who had no idea of the weight of this moment, and Marcus laughed, just a little, a watery broken sound. In the bed, Eli watched them. He pressed his lips together. His eyes stung. He looked out the window at the gray Chicago sky and let himself feel all of it, the hurt and the love and the exhaustion and the smallest, most cautious beginning of hope. A month after coming home, things were awkward and beautiful and very complicated. Marcus did not move in. That was clear from the beginning. Eli was not ready for that, and Marcus would have never suggested it. Instead, Marcus became a careful, consistent presence, showing up when invited, stepping back when told, and learning the boundaries of this new thing they were building with the same attention he gave everything. He came on Tuesday evenings. That was how it started. Eli said, "You can come on Tuesdays." And Marcus came on Tuesdays without fail, always on time, always with something small, coffee for Eli, or a meal from the good Thai place Eli loved, and once a ridiculous stuffed elephant that he looked embarrassed about, but which Noah immediately became attached to. They did not call it dating. They did not call it anything. They sat on Eli's couch and passed Noah back and forth and talked. About small things first. The hospital, the neighborhood, a TV show Eli was watching. Slowly, bigger things. One Tuesday, Marcus said, "Tell me what it was like." "The months I missed." Eli looked at him. "I want to know," Marcus said. "All of it, even the parts that make me look bad." Eli thought about it. Then he started talking. He talked for a long time, about the bathroom floor, about Dana's phone call, about Jordan showing up with groceries, about his mom repainting the nursery, about the first time Noah kicked and Eli had cried because he had no one to tell, about the ultrasound, about learning to sleep through the fear. Marcus listened without interrupting. His expression did not flinch away from any of it. When Eli finished, Marcus said quietly, "I'm sorry." "I know," Eli said. "Not just sorry I wasn't there," Marcus said. "Sorry you had to become this strong without me. Sorry you had to do it alone." Eli looked at him for a long moment. "I wasn't completely alone," he said. "I had good people." "You did," Marcus said. "You built a whole village." "I did," Eli agreed, a small smile. "You should know that Jordan is still deciding whether to forgive you." "I know, he told me." Eli blinked. "He talked to you?" "Last week. He called me and talked for 45 minutes. Marcus's mouth curved slightly. "He is very protective of you." "What did he say?" "A lot of things. The general message was, if you hurt Eli again, there is no version of the future where that goes well for you." Eli laughed. A real laugh, the kind that reached his eyes. Marcus looked at him like he had just seen sunlight after a long winter. But the road was not smooth. There were hard moments. One evening, Eli had a bad day, the kind where exhaustion and old grief surfaced together. And when Marcus arrived, Eli said, I don't want to talk tonight. I don't want to perform being okay. Marcus said, okay. He sat on the other end of the couch. He put on a quiet show. He did not fill the silence or make it about himself. An hour later, Eli had fallen asleep sitting up, one hand still resting near Noah's carrier. Marcus very carefully put a blanket over him. He sat there for another hour, watching Noah sleep, before he quietly let himself out. He texted Eli, "Lock up when you wake. I left dinner in the fridge. Hope tomorrow is lighter." Eli read it at midnight, when Noah woke him up. He stared at the message for a long time. Then he typed back, "Thank you," 2 words. But they meant something different now than they had in the hospital room. They were building a vocabulary, the 2 of them, small words that carried large things. Noah, for his part, was completely unaware of the drama and was mostly focused on eating, sleeping, and making everyone in his vicinity fall completely in love with him. He had Marcus's nose. Eli had noticed this immediately and tried very hard not to find it devastating. He was not entirely successful. It was a Sunday in April when everything finally became clear. Not in a dramatic way, no music, no rain, no grand speech. Eli was in the kitchen making coffee, barefoot on the tile. Noah in the little bouncer chair on the floor nearby, babbling at absolutely nothing in the way that babies do. The morning light came through the window at a low angle and made everything look golden. The door buzzed. Marcus. He came in carrying 2 bags and a slightly battered bunch of yellow flowers that he had clearly grabbed from a corner store. He held them out with an expression that was somewhere between hopeful and apologetic for their condition. Eli took them. "They're nice." "They're terrible," Marcus said honestly. "The good flower place was closed." "I like them," Eli said. He put the flowers in a glass of water on the counter, and Marcus crouched down to say good morning to Noah, who grabbed Marcus's finger with both hands and looked extremely satisfied about it. "He's in a good mood," Marcus said. "He's always in a good mood in the morning," Eli said. "Gets it from Jordan." Marcus laughed. They had breakfast. It was easy. It was the kind of easy that is not the absence of difficulty, but the presence of something that fits. Afterward, Eli sat across from Marcus at the small kitchen table with his coffee, and he looked at this man, the man who had broken him and come back and worked, quietly and consistently, to be someone worth trusting again, and he said, "I think I'm ready." Marcus looked up. "To try," Eli said, "properly, not Tuesdays, not carefully managed visits, actually try." Marcus was very still. "I'm not saying everything is fixed," Eli said. "I'm saying I trust you enough to try, and that I don't want to keep standing at the edge of this." Marcus set his cup down. He looked at Eli with that open, unguarded face, the one Eli had been seeing more and more lately, the one that had no performance in it. "You are the most remarkable person I have ever known," Marcus said, "and I know I don't deserve another chance, but I will spend however long you give me making sure you never doubt that I chose this, that I choose you, every day." "Good," Eli said, "because I need someone who chooses this every day, not just once." "Every day," Marcus said, "I promise." Noah made a loud sound from the bouncer. They both looked at him. He had managed to get one sock off and was waving it triumphantly. Marcus started laughing. Eli pressed his face into his hand and laughed too, the helpless kind. And when he looked up, Marcus was already looking at him with so much softness that Eli had to look away for a second. "You're a lot," Eli told him. "I know," Marcus said, "but so is this family, and I am exactly where I want to be." Later that afternoon, Jordan came over and immediately read the room. "Something happened," he said, narrowing his eyes between them. "We're trying," Eli said simply. Jordan looked at Marcus, a long, serious look, the kind that communicated entire paragraphs without a single word. Marcus met his eyes and did not look away. After a moment, Jordan said, "Okay." He pointed at Marcus. "You know what happens if you mess up again. 45-minute phone call at minimum," Marcus said. "I will make it 2 hours," Jordan said. "Don't test me." But the corner of his mouth moved, almost a smile. Progress. That evening, the 4 of them, Eli, Marcus, Jordan, and a Noah who was fully asleep and completely unaware, sat in the small living room with takeout containers on the coffee table and a bad movie on TV, and it was loud and warm and silly, and Eli looked around at all of it and felt something settle in his chest. Not the quiet strength of someone surviving alone. Something better. Something that felt like being held by a life that fit. He leaned back against the couch cushion, and Marcus, sitting beside him, shifted just slightly closer. Not dramatic, not a declaration, just present, just there. Eli did not move away. Outside, Chicago was doing what Chicago does in April. Unpredictable, loud, full of potential. The kind of city that never lets you get too comfortable, which Eli had always liked. Inside, there was coffee going cold on the table, a baby sleeping in the next room, a best friend arguing about the movie's plot holes, and a man who had been lost and had found his way back, sitting close enough that their shoulders touched. This is not a perfect story. Love rarely is. But it is real, and it is theirs. And Noah will grow up knowing that love, even when it breaks, can be brave enough to begin again.